So I'm going to start with one thing that maybe some of you have seen, maybe you haven't seen, that I have shared before, but it has been a minute, and that is the this specific study that was put in the Harvard Business Review related to calling leads. So let me share my screen and pull that up. And I want to kick this off first. Okay. Also, if you're new to the Academy, welcome to the Mentor Ready Academy. We appreciate you guys being a part of this thing. And I would love to see attendance keep growing. We will make sure we keep delivering as long as you keep showing up. How about that? Okay. So here's best practices for lead response management. Any training I do will be related to this specific piece. InsideSales.com did a study. I'll zoom in a little bit. Inside Sales did a study and they published in the Harvard Business Review. And they called 100,000, made 100,000 calls to 15,000 leads in 3 years. And here's what they learned during that study. Number one, they learned the best days to make contact were Wednesday and Thursday. Well, just call leads every day, doesn't matter. Best times to make contact. Also, my favorite days, by the way, were Saturday. Were my 3 favorite times to call leads were evenings, Saturday mornings, and Sunday nights. Personally, okay, don't shoot the messenger. Those are my favorite times. I just got the phone with the guy that's doing about 10 grand a week right now off of 50 of our CABOOM leads. Now that we have the SMS phone verification, our final expense leads are literally kabooming. Like we're at 16 people on our KABOOM team right now because I cannot keep up with orders. So don't bury me, but we are trying to keep up, which is amazing. But he just said that he prefers to call leads at 9 o'clock in the morning because they're final expense. And he loves the 9 o'clock morning hour. And he loves having, he's on a subscription, 50 leads a week. He's been doing about 10 grand a week, several weeks in a row. I think he's on week 4 of his subscription, 4 or 5. His subscription goes through Friday at 5 p.m. We now have people building and supporting leads on the weekend, which I don't normally see from vendors. So I'm like, why not? And so then he has fresh leads on Monday. He calls at 9 a.m. every day. That's his preferred time. So there's an example. But best times to make contact from this study they learned was 8 to 9 a.m. and about 4 to 6 p.m. So mornings and evenings, right? We kind of expected that. No surprise. The response time, here's what we really learned though, is that you have a 400% decrease in an odds of qualifying a lead if you wait from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Here's an example. Actually, before I get to that story, if you look at it, from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, there's a 10x decrease, right? And so most are not calling quick enough. I just talked to Edward Pritchett. He has been working our term, our veteran, and our IUL leads. He's got an agency. If you don't know Edward Pritchett, I think you do probably. He's been on my reality shows and YouTube channel and spoken on our 8% stage several times. He does, I don't know, 50 million a year with his agency, but he still wants to work leads. They're looking for extra leads. So he's like, hey, I want to try KABOOM. He wrote $4,200 on the term. He wrote over 3 grand on the veteran, and he's expecting a big return on IUL, but IUL takes a little longer. And so he's making money on all of our leads, which is cool. But he said that when he called them within the first few hours, he had way better success than when he waited till a few days later. And he's busy, but he said, hey, speed to lead is still important, and it proved to be true. 5 minutes is the absolute must when you're calling new leads. Most agents are lazy. Most people are not working stuff hard enough. They're either too slow or they're not persistent enough, or both. Okay, those are huge variables when you're calling leads. Also, when it comes to persistence, this was years ago, but you had a 90% chance of getting a hold of a lead if you called it 6 times. Well, that's a little old. I would say it possibly might take more nowadays, but that was the answer back then. Also, most reps, if you look at this bottom part, average call attempts by reps, most reps got to their first dial. I would say about 37% of people made one dial. Amazing. Congratulations. We should give them a round of applause. Okay. Second dial, about 25%. Oh my gosh, incredible. Third dial, about 12% of people only made it to calling a lead 3 times. Then you wonder why 92% of agents fail. It's not a lack of skill, by the way. It's a lack of will. Fourth dial, 8%. Fifth dial, about 5%. Sixth dial, about 2.5% of people made it to the sixth call on a lead. Freaking crazy, but these are the real results. Okay, so when I talk through some of the things I'm about to share in a second, that is a real Harvard study. Joey can share that in our school group right after the call as well, so that you can analyze and research that. Okay. Any questions on that study before I jump to my next illustration?
Um, how much weight do you give calling them like right away, as opposed to um getting more in? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, because sometimes
Oh,
leads don't come in right away, so it's like boom, and then and this is for every lead source. This isn't anybody's in particular. Um, I find, to me, I think persistency is the number one thing, and that's I've we just lost two agents that I thought was going to work out very well, and the thing that they said was it was the amount of dials that was expected and necessary to be successful. They didn't think it was possible. Well, obviously we know it isn't. It is possible. I mean, I do it. There's other agents that I work with that they do it and they're very successful.
yeah.
Some of them, they're almost mental about, if the lead comes in, they got to break neck and get to it right away. Others are like a little more lackadaisical. Out of all those contributing factors, which one would you tie the most weight to?
Uh, I think I think having more leads and more opportunity is an easier way to go. Obviously, it can be a budget constraint sometimes. Um, Calling it quick is still important, but if you're like trying to ring out 20 leads for 4 weeks, you're not going to make any money. Like I think that's a huge hindrance for a lot of agents is like I bought like our most common lead order is 20 leads a week. I'm sorry, not a week, 20 leads period. And I'm like, I realize budget may be tight, but if you think you are going to find success buying 20 leads, you are wrong. I almost want to like remove it as an option from the site, but then I wouldn't get a bunch of these agents that are like new to the business. Um, However, too, though, like if you think about like if because so if we think about this, right? Like if someone's like, hey, what's the goal? So like here's an example. Throw in chat, how much money would you like to make per week? Hypothetically, how much money would you like to make per week? Is it $1,000, 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand a week, right? You guys can take a second, throw it in chat, whatever you'd like to make. I don't care if you're making nothing right now, right? That's the point of this, is to help you make something, or maybe you're doing well. I don't know. 15K a week for Richard. Okay, who else? 5K deposit is the goal for now. Okay, good. Let's use 5K, right? So if the goal is 5K, okay. Also, too, that's one of the biggest reasons, to Preston's point, we added the SMS phone verification, is agents do not enjoy getting disconnected numbers, wrong numbers, having people say they didn't do it, or having to like pound the phones a bunch. We've removed a lot of that by verifying their. And you guys know what I'm talking about when I talk about like phone verification? It's like a new strategy that's working really well for us. It's where someone has to go back in the funnel and put a 6-digit security code into the funnel to verify it's their real accurate cell phone number. So agents never get disconnected numbers, never get wrong numbers, never get I didn't do it ever again. And their contact rate goes up because the person has already responded via text, right? Which is cool. However, if someone's like, hey, dude, I would like to do 5K, right? Okay, good. Well, if they're like, hey, the average sell I make is $1,000, right? Preston, what is it for you? You say deposit. What do you deposit on average when you make a sell? Actual
Um,
deposit.
Mine's a little different because we are LOA, and I'm kind of in that.
Are you LOA now?
Yeah, I'm actually the manager of the LOA program for us for Tony's group.
Okay, cool. So what would your average deposit be?
Average deposit between 4 and 5.
Okay, so let's just call it, can we call it $500? Is
Yeah.
that fair? Right? For those that maybe new. Okay, cool. So if we look at $500, he needs 10 cells
Yep.
a week. He needs to deposit 10 cells a week. You follow me? 5K divided by $500 is 10 apps. Okay. Hopefully I'm not losing some of you. I feel like I'm not getting any feedback at all. So I'm like, I can't tell if I'm losing you, if you're with me. I don't know, but I'll do my best. So let's just say 10 cells a week. Okay. So if we say 10 cells a week, um, 10 cells a week, What's your closing rate when you're working leads, Preston? If I give you, like, how many leads do you have to buy a week to deposit 10 sales
Uh,
conservatively?
conservative, between 80 to 100.
Okay, so he's got to buy 80 to 100 leads a week. Do you get access to 80 to 100 leads a week right now?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, but what would I say if they, what would I say if an agent said, I want to deposit 5 grand? It takes 80 to 100 leads, but I'm not getting 80 to 100 leads. What should I say? I should say then they either don't have they don't want to spend money or they don't want to deposit 5 grand a week, right? Now, that's a little intense. But if someone's like, I want to deposit this amount of money, but if the math doesn't back into it and you're not seeing enough people every week, then you don't really want to deposit that amount of money because A, you aren't investing in your business enough. B, you aren't actually working hard enough.